Khabib the Eagle Nurmagomedov is known for being the scariest guy inside the octagon and the most humble person outside of it. He has become a nightmare for the best lightweight fighters in the world. Who is this guy? How did he beat everyone without ever losing a fight? Did he actually wrestle with a bear? This is the story of Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib Nurmagomedov was born on September 20th, 1988 in the village of Sildi, Dagestan. Raised in a family deeply rooted in sports, his father, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, was a renowned Judo and samba champion and a top MMA coach. From a young age, Khabib immersed himself in wrestling, a tradition common among Dagestani children. He was even filmed fighting a bear just 3 days after his 9th birthday. Despite his rigorous training, he balanced sports with education. In 2001, the Nurmagomedov family relocated to Makhachkala, where Khabib continued to pursue various sports interests including boxing, judo, and MMA. Khabib's father initially focused on training his older son Magomed, who by 16 was already on Dagestan's national wrestling team. At 14, Khabib sought to keep pace with his brother, joining training camps with older athletes with his father's permission. Despite initial losses, Khabib persisted and honed his skills, eventually emerging as one of Russia's top 3 combat samba artists by the age of 16. His father entered him into various wrestling tournaments, fostering his competitive spirit. Khabib faced tough competition, often against his father's students, which fueled his determination. Despite initial setbacks, he excelled, becoming a 2-time combat samba world champion and a grappling world champion. Despite his talent, Khabib considered other career paths at 19, but his father persuaded him otherwise. Khabib began his professional MMA journey at 19, facing Vucel Bayramov in the CFU Champions League. Initially a stand-up fight, Khabib displayed remarkable patience, eventually overwhelming Bayramov with his talent and strategy. Within less than a month after his debut in September 2008, Khabib had already secured 4 victories. Notably, he emerged victorious in the Atrium Cup tournament in Moscow on October 11th, defeating all 12 opponents he encountered over the next 3 years. The UFC's interest in Khabib stemmed from his impeccable 16-0 record in the Russian and Ukrainian regional circuits. However, a contract dispute with Pro FC led to a series of 11 court cases. Despite facing setbacks, Khabib persevered, ultimately resolving the dispute and continuing his career. In late 2011, Khabib signed a 6-fight deal to compete in the UFC's lightweight divisions. Khabib made his debut in the UFC on the 20th of January 2012 and defeated his opponent Kamal Shalarus by submission in the 3rd round. Khabib faced his next opponent, Gleison Tibau, on 7th July 2012 at UFC 148 via unanimous decision. All 3 judges scored in favor of Khabib, and the victory marked the first fight that Khabib trained for in the American Kickboxing Academy. Next up, Nurmagomedov faced Thiago Tavares on the 19th of January 2013, and the Dagestani champion defeated his opponent via KO in the 1st round. However, there was a little twist to it. After the fight, Tavares had tested positive for drostanolone, an anabolic steroid which caused him to get a 9-month suspension. In the same year, Khabib defeated Abel Trujillo and Pat Healy. Nurmagomedov also set a new UFC record for the most takedowns in a single fight, with 21 successful takedowns out of 28 attempts. In December 2013, Nurmagomedov challenged Gilbert Melendez on social media. The two were then scheduled to face off at UFC 170 on the 22nd of February 2014. However, the fight was canceled for undisclosed reasons, and Melendez was replaced by Nate Diaz, who also turned down the fight. Nurmagomedov next faced former UFC lightweight champion Rafael dos Anjos on the 19th of April 2014 at UFC on Fox 11. He controlled the fight and won via unanimous decision, with all 3 judges scoring the fight 30-27. Nurmagomedov was briefly linked with a fight with Donald Cerrone on the 27th of September 2014 at UFC 178. However, the pairing was quickly dropped after it was revealed that Nurmagomedov had suffered a knee injury. He was later scheduled to face Cerrone on the 23rd of May 2015 at UFC 187. However, Nurmagomedov pulled out of the fight on 30th April due to a recurring knee injury and was replaced by John Makdessi. Nurmagomedov was set to face Tony Ferguson on December 11, 2015 at the Ultimate Fighter 22 finale. However, in late October, he pulled out of the fight, claiming another injury, and was replaced by Edson Barboza. The fight with Ferguson was rescheduled for the 16th of April 2016, but on the 5th of April, Ferguson pulled out of the fight due to a lung issue. He was replaced by Daryl Horcher, who was defeated by Khabib by TKO in the second round. Nurmagomedov signed 2 contracts in September to face Eddie Alvarez for the UFC Lightweight Championship at UFC 205 or 206, with Dana White confirming the bout. On September 26th, the UFC announced that Alvarez would defend the championship against Conor McGregor. Nurmagomedov called Alvarez a bullshit champ for choosing McGregor over the fight, and called the UFC a freak show on social media. Nurmagomedov next faced Michael Johnson at UFC 205. He dominated the fight and was heard telling Dana White to give him the title shot while he was mauling Johnson. He eventually won via submission in the third round. The fight with Ferguson was then rescheduled for the third time at UFC 209 on 4th March 2018 for the interim lightweight championship. However, it was once again canceled as Khabib fell ill. At UFC 219, Nurmagomedov faced Edson Barboza. Khabib dominated all 3 rounds, taking Barboza down repeatedly to dominate the fight and eventually defeat his opponent. Khabib faced Al La Quinta at UFC 223, though controversially, as La Quinta wasn't the UFC's first choice to replace Max Holloway. Regardless, Nurmagomedov won unanimously, becoming the UFC lightweight champion. Then, the highly anticipated showdown with Conor McGregor arrived. Their rivalry intensified after McGregor's online call-out following Khabib's fight with Edson Barboza. 3 months later, McGregor and his teammates attacked a bus carrying Khabib and other fighters, sparking fury. Scheduled for October 6, 2018, both fighters entered the octagon confidently. McGregor started aggressively, but Khabib, with his patient wrestling style, turned the tide, securing victory via submission. However, the chaos didn't end there. Khabib leapt out of the cage and attacked Conor's sparring partner Dylan Dennis. Security and fighters intervened, leading to Khabib's 9-month suspension and a $500,000 fine, and McGregor's 6-month suspension and $50,000 fine. The UFC 229 event drew $2.4 million in pay-per-view buys, the most ever for an MMA event. Nurmagomedov renewed his UFC multi-fight deal in June 2019. Khabib defended his title against interim lightweight champion Dustin Poirier in the main event of UFC 242 on September 7, 2019, in his first fight of his new contract. He defeated his opponent in the third round by rear naked choke. On the 18th of April 2020, the Eagle was to defend his championship against Tony Ferguson at UFC 249. 2 UFC fighters with 12-fight victory streaks faced up for the 6th time. The card was revoked because Nurmagomedov could not leave Russia due to COVID-19 air travel restrictions. Ferguson faced top contender Justin Gaethje for the interim UFC lightweight championship at UFC 249, postponed to 9th May. Gaethje defeated Ferguson by 5th round TKO to end his win streak and earn a shot at Nurmagomedov's undisputed title. He met Gaethje in a unification match on 24th October 2020 in the main event at UFC 254. A second-round triangle choke technical submission won Khabib the fight. Nurmagomedov retired from MMA in his post-fight interview. Khabib said, "No way I'm going to come here without my father. It was the first time after what happened with my father when UFC phoned me about Justin. I chatted with my mother for 3 days. She doesn't want me to go to battle without my father, but I told her it was going to be my last fight. If I give my word, I have to follow this. I fought here last." This triumph awarded him Performance of the Night. Daniel Cormier said on an episode of DC and Helwani after the fight that Khabib had said he picked the triangle choke instead of an armbar to protect Gaethje from being harmed. Despite attempted negotiations to bring him back for one more fight, UFC President Dana White announced on the 19th of March 2021 that he had accepted his decision to retire. Khabib Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov retired undisputed with a record of 29-0, and on July 1, 2022 was inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame on the International Fight Week in Las Vegas. If you enjoyed this video and want to know more about the lives of the greatest fighters, then make sure that you like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching.